Hi everyone, it's me. Just gonna share with you my little show on the ethicality and effectiveness of using the CIPP model to evaluate a district-wide literacy improvement program. There we go. Um, First of all, I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. We'll talk about why CIPP works for this situation, the format for evaluation and ethicality, and the summary of my findings since it's already been I've already shared um, all aspects of KIPP. That's pretty much a real summary in the beginning part of it. So the context you all know is we discover the problems. The input is looking at the plans and items used to address the goals and priorities, evaluating the design materials, etc. And then the process, which is assessing the way the plans and goals are implemented and whether or not it is following the expected protocol. And the progress is, or the product could be formative or summative, and it determines the results of the program. That's just a general overview of KIPP. You guys are fully aware. What I did is I went through my program and the analysis that I did with the KIPP evaluation model, and I kind of highlighted um, the ethical aspects of it or the lack of ethical aspects of it. So most of you already know that I'm a teacher, 10th and 12th grade in a relatively small suburban district, and our literacy rates have been going down. I think here I explained that the declining rates were determined by data and analyses from the state ELA and math scores from grades 4, 8, and 11. And to me, that's an ethical way to use the data. No names are really used, it's just the results of the exams and the scores that the students achieved on those exams over a period of time. And then the population, I think I've told most of you before, we're a bunch of veteran teachers. Most of us, probably 70% of us are older, 20 years plus experience. Um, and we've always been a top 10 or top 5 school, but we're starting to drop in our standings. The background for the program, we started this literacy program with the phrase all means all, which is great. It sounds wonderful, but nobody ever really explained to us as teachers what all means all actually means. And I think I highlighted this part because this was a top down. The administration determines the literacy program that was needed and what it's going to look like, but no other stakeholders were included in this decision, nor what kind of program to implement or what was really needed. They just kind of said, this is what we're going to do. And it started last year with our consultant, the initiation part here, observing the classroom instruction throughout the district at most grade levels. Administrators came in and observed as well. They didn't observe all teachers, only selected teachers. I question who, why, and who they chose. They were actually in my room for a full period. My principal was like, we just want to show them what good stuff Iroquois does. And I'm thinking, that doesn't seem like a very good way to start off looking for your needs assessment. So that's why I kind of highlighted this, that the administrators and consultants observed and teachers were given notifications. So I'm not sure that that's a full true analysis of what was going on in classrooms, because you guys probably know that when teachers are getting evaluated, they might do things a little differently, even though I totally forgot they were coming. So I did what I always do. So input, the evidence of need, goals for the program, what success would look like, and stakeholder involvement. We'll look at the ethicality of the input through KIPP for this program. I think by beginning the program, spending the year, the first part of the year, observing different classrooms and instruction practices, conferencing repeatedly with administration throughout the district. This was how they gathered a lot of the input. And I question why teachers weren't involved in the input aspect because of the knowledge teachers have with witnessing firsthand the weaknesses their students have. And then let's see, this program for literacy improvement, I feel like it's got limited potential for instructional improvement because specific literacy skills were not identified, and teachers were never provided with PD relating to specific literary skills or literacy skills. And I'll explain that in a minute. One staff development day had a focus on literacy with 3 hours of a morning meeting spent in the presence of the literacy consultant. And this was middle school and high school together. Um, and she used one literacy tool that she used repeatedly throughout the entire 3 hours. And it was actually quite elementary in nature. So we, um, I'll get to some more of that in a bit, but the afternoon was spent in breakout sessions by department, and I thought those were actually super beneficial. The assessments, the breakout, the product assessment for the literacy program. So I explain here that in our department, we came up with a plan for increasing tier 2 and 3 vocabulary throughout our department. And these were based on terms that were used from exam results in the last 5 years. We also uploaded all of the standardized exams into AI and had them pull out the most frequently used vocabulary words. And we decided as a department to focus our instruction on those words throughout the next year. And I highlighted here some ethical issues. The ideal product for the evaluation of a literacy initiative would be to look for exam scores at the same grade levels and specifically look for improvement, which I think is an ethical thing to do because you are looking at standardized scores without any kind of object or subjectivity, right? There's no messing with the numbers. People say the numbers don't lie. But I also think that classroom teachers should be involved in contributing to the evaluation. And I think if you don't include the classroom teachers, this takes the ethicality out of the program because it's the teachers that have to implement the program. But also, more importantly, it's the teachers who know what their students need the most. Tools that we use in finding this information, there's a New York State school report card. The link is on the works cited of this program. And then we have our own district scores that we can look at in our standardized tests for ELA and social studies. I think, though, that you really need to use a multitude of tools to be able to understand comprehensive analysis of literacy and what's happening in classrooms and across the district. So in summary, the degree of success for the evaluation itself, I think this is such a great evaluation model. I think the way that it analyzes the literacy program, to me, it showed that the literacy program left something to be desired. However, I think the CIPP model itself was very ethical because there's not a lot of wiggle room for bias and opinions. I see here it's an effective tool for evaluation, provides a comprehensive analysis of the success or lack thereof of the program, and plans that could be made for the future of the program based on this evaluation. And I think here I state this, that the success was limited because of the lack of appropriate context and inefficient stakeholder involvement. It would have been better had they understood that we are a building full of veteran teachers and, we don't need elementary level literacy practice. And so I say, in my opinion, based on the CIPP model evaluation, I would discontinue this literacy program in favor of something that would be more effective and appropriate for this district's specific needs. However, I have a big however there because I'm biased. So while the CIPP model is effective, me using the CIPP model evaluation, maybe not ethical because of my bias. I'm personally involved in this study. I was offended by elementary things being used on me in that staff development day for 3 hours. So, yeah, I have a bias. I don't want to be involved in this program anymore. But I think it would be better. My recommendations here are involve stakeholders, teachers, students, and even parents to have a voice in the instruction taking place and the use of the resources within the building. But in the end, for CIPP model itself, it shows itself to be a non-biased, practical method of evaluation, taking objectivity out of the picture as much as possible. Thank you. And here's my Works Cited page. I hope you liked it.